And it's time for some more Fishemon. Or Minecraft, you can also say. Or just swimming around forever in Minecraft. Deutsch. Well, let's start the Minecraft. Let's see. He'll go away from the cats. And we are up 1,541, I think. Yes, 1,041. So let's see, what can we get? Fucking chicken. 20. So we can say at least 4 more days. Well, we 100% is over 1,600. Let's. Oh shit! Already on Trident. Oh my god. Cheating. No Trident for me. No new fish for the collection. Let's see. Oh, that can I say. House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 1. Yeah, it was live yesterday. I would say that was I would say somewhat slow. The start, I would say, was most interesting. Oh, one more fish for the collection, Snooper Blue. When he saw the Winterfell. And man. See him, the... What do you say? The Black Queen's oldest son with long hair. I was like, wait. Who is this guy? Should I know him? I mean, he talks like he's the son of the queen, but I don't recognize him because I didn't know that. Apparently, he had been there for a long time, so his hair is no longer. One more fish for the collection. What more happened that was interesting? I mean, they set up how everything can will be. Also, one more fish for the collection. Like who's with who, the different alliances, how they maybe feel about the new king. Like the Lannister. I mean, with the king, the other king, the old king before, what do we say? Viserys, I think his name is. I mean, you can clearly see how the Lannister really could act like himself, or even beyond that. And now with the new king, you can't joking or saying bad stuff. So that's something interesting to have seen. What more? Yeah, the ending. I've heard from other people that the ending of the first episode could have been much worse. But for me, that didn't know the much worse ending, felt like the ending that they did was already bad enough. So if I'm part of the minority of how we feel about that start, or that ending, then it still will be recognized as a horrible scene. Can this... let's try it one more. Nope. Not that one more fish for the collection. I mean, that's... While Game of Thrones doing good, Star Wars is doing really bad with the Acolyte. Nobody cares about it. Only Disney and the people that are making it care about it. But not the fans. Yeah. Not a lot Formula 1 news, but we have one clip from the race. Something about that one seat nobody really wants. The Alpine, and I would say, why not? Why wouldn't you want to have that seat? And then we have the 10 minutes left on the F1 Nation podcast that I didn't finish yesterday, because I want to see House of the Dragon. Then we have IndyCar stuff that we can maybe watch, and something from Aidan Millward. It's nothing to do with the nationality, opinion, reason, superlines, rule changes. I don't know, I saw something about rule changes from 18 to 17 maybe, but I don't know. Can that actually be true? But we will start with the race with the Alpine stuff. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Alpine has decided who it doesn't want to drive for it in 2025, but given it doesn't feel...
Man, it will be so amazing if Alpine actually will go to Sal or want to rebrand the team. I really hope that China/Geely will 100% wanna invest in the Alpine name to keep the Chinese driver in Formula 1, for then make Alpine to then Lotus and bring back, I don't know how it works, because for some interesting searching, Team Lotus is the team that Jochen Rindt and Mario Andretti and all people that won with Lotus, they drove for Team Lotus. Lotus F1 team is the team that Kimi Räikkönen drove, and is the team that was before it become after it went from Renault to Lotus and then back to Renault, then Alpine. That is Lotus F1 team. So that interesting thing is, what will they bring back, Lotus F1 team or Team Lotus? Or what can they actually bring back? Maybe you should bring back Lotus F1 team first, So if you have a bad season, you will just harness that time when Lotus was bad, and when it's become good, maybe change it back to Team Lotus. I mean, that will bring a reason for Alpine trying to stay in Formula 1, or make so people in Alpine have a future if they become a new team with new sponsors and everything. If not, then I hope Mick Schumacher will get
it needs the service
before he's already in Alpine driver. He drives for Alpine, maybe not in Formula 1, but in Alpine. So Mick Schumacher or Jürgen Yu, I believe, is most likely to get the seat. Not Jack Doohan.
of Esteban Ocon. Who does it want to sign? Or perhaps the real question should be, who can it sign? Alpine's struggles so far in 2024 hardly make it an appealing destination, except for those with a lack of options or drivers chasing their first big break. The fact Carlos Sainz is not a realistic target for Alpine is telling. It's a works team with a healthy budget and staffed by very accomplished people, but its lack of success means Sainz understandably steered clear after evaluating a return to a team he drove for in its Renault guys back in 2017 and 2018. And this is the same Sainz who has more seriously considered going to struggling Sauber. With the majority of drivers already signed up for 2025, and Alpine already having turned its back on one of the best free agents in Ocon, it could face a battle. Alpine's problems are extensive.
Lies.
The fact it's lumbered with a power deficit in the region of 25 brake horsepower is well known, and that's going to be the case until the new power units are introduced in 2026. And while Renault is confident about the progress it is making in hitting development targets with the new engine, it's nobody's hot tip for acing the new rules either. The current Alpine A524 has multiple problems. At the start of the season, it was overweight, the consequence of the monocoque having to be strengthened after failing the lateral crash test. That weight problem has been tackled.
I mean, I will agree. Alpine haven't had a great start, and nothing has maybe gone their way like Williams. But you can also say, isn't that what Mercedes have been doing? They can maybe fight for podiums and points, and they are up there. But from where they were, they are so much further down than what people say where they should be. So in my opinion, I would say Mercedes is further down than what Alpine actually is.
But there's still an offset between the cars, with Ocon's around 1 kilo heavier at Monaco. Aerodynamically, the car is not great and it has generally struggled for traction, so while gains have been made and it's emerged as a lower midfield car lately rather than toiling at the back, Alpine still only has a paltry 5 points. There aren't expected to be any big updates in the immediate future.
I mean, 5 points. They're just, I think, 2 points. Let's see. There should be 2 points. Construction standings. Yeah, they're just 2 points off their haas. If they get 2 more points, like they will probably will, they will pass them and start catching up. Try to catch up with this catch up RB Formula 1 team. But yeah, I feel like it's Alpine versus Williams this season. Haas hopefully will not get any more points.
According to Pierre Gasly, it's hoped that new Executive Technical Director David Sanchez can have a positive effect in the short term. It's understood he has intervened to make some suggestions for ideas to be incorporated into the upcoming upgrades, which could potentially mean they take a little longer to appear, but work better. Alpine's target remains recapturing the 6th place in the championship that it took last year, although RB's impressive form means that now seems a long shot. However, salvaging 7th place is still at least a credible target, given Sauber and Williams have had a difficult start to the season too, and Haas isn't far ahead. But given the rest of 2024 and by extension 2025 is set to be tough, it's no surprise that Alpine is up against it when it comes to its driver lineup.
What the guaranteed. Gasly not yet guaranteed. The fact that we have then the obvious choice. Okay. The in-house candidate. Oh, I hope they mention Mick Schumacher and Jürgen Joe.
Gasly is widely tipped to be staying at Alpine, but he's not yet confirmed. He has been exploring options.
I mean, I feel like he's 100% confirmed when they already confirmed who will leave.
Elsewhere, and he is known to be on Audi's list as a potential recruit should it not land signed.
Wow, really? That's interesting. Oh shit. Gasly to Audi. Could that actually happen? So Esteban Ogone. No, not Esteban Ogone. Carlos Sainz. Let's see. Gasly to Audi. Could Williams take up? So if Esteban, fuck him, he would go to Haas. If Audi take up Gasly, or rather, Carlos Sainz go to Audi, will Gasly then go to Williams? If Carlos Sainz go to Williams, will Gasly then go to Audi? Man, that's interesting. Is that one more fish for the collection? It is. Purple brown. Let's see. Do we have one more? Yes, we have. One more fish for the collection. Don't hurt me, please. Let's see. Okay, if that happened, Gasly will leave also Alpine. But I feel like weird. I mean, Alpine isn't that bad. At least now. Maybe if the car went before the summer was never good and got no points. But they are getting points. Stake F1 Team Kick Sub have not got any points yet. Well, let's say if they both leave, who will go to Alpine then? See, who do we have left? Could then Ricciardo maybe go back to Alpine so that they can promote Liam Lawson? I mean, that could actually happen. So then Ricciardo to Alpine. So, but then it's just okay. Jürgen Joe Mick Schumacher that can join Alpine.
Although Alpine has decided to throw its weight behind Gasly by parting company with Ocon, there's still a possibility it might end up losing both drivers. Gasly recently said he doesn't have a particular deadline in mind for securing his future. When he was asked recently if Alpine was his priority, he mentioned he's well aware of the opportunities that are out there and that everything is going well with discussions. That's hardly a ringing endorsement of Alpine. Even though right now it is most likely Gasly will stay on, at the very least he's keeping his options open. That's a remarkable turnaround given how great a chance the Alpine move was in the first place. A switch to one of F1's few full works teams after being bought out of his Red Bull deal seemed a golden opportunity, but its slump this year has been alarming. The form has at least picked up a little, with Gasly making it to Q2 for the past 4 weekends and scoring...
That I would say if Carlos Sainz doesn't take the Audi deal, wouldn't you maybe wanna stay in Alpine then? If you feel like going to Williams is more interesting in the short and maybe the long term. Audi is just long term. If you wanna have a one bad season, you can then have a good season after that. Or you will have somewhat good season in Williams.
Points in the last 2 races. But what really matters is the progress the team is making and its prospects for the longer term. If there were to be an opportunity at Audi, then despite Sauber's current struggles, he could be tempted. If not, then Alpine will surely keep hold of him. But the fact that Gasly isn't yet a dead cert says much about its problems. Regardless of whether Alpine has 1 or 2 seats available, the obvious driver to pursue is Valtteri Bottas. He's available, Audi doesn't seem to want him unless it misses out on other targets, and he is comfortably the most successful free agent on the market with 10 victories.
Also, yeah, sure, he's most successful, but fuck me. Kimi Räikkönen was a champion. How many wanted him when he was driving for Alfa Romeo in the end? I don't think even Kym Illman was interesting to be in Formula 1. Oh yeah. Didn't he write down for the end season and Christmas stuff in Formula 1 that in the start he wrote down that he will leave, and then he said what he wrote, and that was that. Oh, I don't know if it was 100% I will leave, but something that would suggest that he will not stay in Formula 1. So acted like, yeah, Valtteri Bottas have won races. Yeah. Wow.
Victories to his name. He also has a vast amount of experience, most relevantly accumulated in 5 years with Mercedes and most recently with a Sauber team that's trying to build up. Plus, he's driven well so far in 2024 and comprehensively
Okay, so if he's so fucking good, why don't Audi want him?
outperformed teammate Zhou Guanyu, albeit without scoring a point. And he's fast, and always has been.
So why don't Audi want him?
That's proved by his qualifying performances
Okay.
against Hamilton, a driver
Explain
with a
that.
record for F1 pole positions, who he outqualified 31% of the time. Bottas is certainly interested in Alpine, but is also in contention at Haas and Williams, plus it's not completely out of the question he could stay at Sauber. However, even though he's no longer at his reputational peak as he was at Mercedes, Bottas would be a very good signing for Alpine.
Okay, but why not Audi?
Today's video is sponsored by a cool little Danish company called
How about no?
% pre-order discount for the fastest customers.
Alpine reserve driver Jack Doohan is also a serious candidate for a race seat. In fact,
I don't think so. That's just copium. I don't understand. Why would you wanna have two? Also, one more fish for the collection. I can't see that. Why Jack Doohan? That's so weird.
he was one even before Alpine formally agreed to part company with Ocon. Promoting an Alpine Academy prospect would certainly appeal to the team, given the sense it would
Jürgen Joe can be promoted.
avenge the careless loss of Oscar Piastri to McLaren. But more important is how hard Doohan is working in the shadows to make his case. Team principal Bruno Fama says Doohan is an option and is being prepared. The
It's an option, yeah, but really, no.
21-year-old has been on Alpine's books since early 2022, racking up 5 FP1 appearances and driving in the post-Abu Dhabi Grand Prix test twice. This year, he's benefiting from the push to utilise academy drivers more consistently in the Alpine Driver in Loop Simulator programme. There's also a test programme for this year using a 2022 Alpine A522 that kicked off at Zandvoort last month. He may lack a racing programme, but his determined and professional approach, as well as his undisputed speed, has won Doohan admirers inside the team and means he has a credible chance of a career-making opportunity.
One more fish
While
for the
being on the
collection.
sidelines is far from ideal, he's certainly making the most of the opportunities he is getting to advance his case. He's inexperienced, something he argues is a virtue given the lack of preconceptions and expectations. What's more, he might be the one driver who really does want this drive more than any other, given he's worked towards it.
Mick Schumacher, Yuga Yu, I think they are in the same boat. Also, one more fish for the collection.
Since the start of 2022. Whether that's enough to convince Alpine is as yet unclear, but he is being taken seriously and the team has all the data on him it could need. There are inevitably other candidates, but right now they are long shots. Victor Martin is the other senior Alpine Academy driver and is seriously quick.
I would say he was quick, but man, his season have not been great this time. Like he really have a bad time in Formula 2 this season. Last year he was there, now he's nowhere.
Even though he's had plenty of misfortune in his F2 campaign. He is getting simulator running, but appears to be behind Doohan in the pecking order, so is the longest of long shots. Mick Schumacher is also in the wider Alpine Motorsport.
Yeah, why not Mick Schumacher? I mean, like, come on, he's already driving in Alpine.
Ecosystem, driving for the team in the World Endurance Championship. He's doing a good job there, but has not done anything truly exceptional. While he's an outside contender, it's understood he's not currently seen as a front runner for an F1 seat by Alpine, despite the fact
But Jack Doohan is... No, I can't see that.
he has 2 seasons with Haas under his belt. Kevin Magnussen could be available, given he's likely to be dropped by Haas unless he gets a reprieve with other targets moving elsewhere. He has experience and has driven for the team before in its Renault guys. The same applies to Zhou Guanyu, who won't stay at Sauber but also isn't currently seen as a serious contender for a race seat by Alpine. However, a reserve role can't be ruled out, even though Zhou himself will only take that as a last resort. The same applies for Logan Sargent, who won't be at Williams next year but hasn't performed well enough to justify consideration for a race seat. The wildcard in this equation is Liam Lawson. He performed well in his 5-race stint subbing for Daniel Ricciardo at AlphaTauri last year, but is under option for
One
Red Bull.
more.
If he doesn't get a race seat at RB in
For the collection.
2025, it's possible he could be considered by Alpine, but right now that seems unlikely. As for Ocon, he's one of the key free agents in the driver market, and
Wait, the fuck did it say?
Alpine, but right now that seems unlikely. For Daniel Ricciardo at AlphaTauri last year, but is under option for Red Bull. If he doesn't get a race seat at RB in 2025, it's possible he could be considered by Alpine, but right now that seems unlikely. As for Ocon,
Yeah, I mean, Ricciardo can maybe go back to Renault, and Leon Lawson can be in the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team.
he's one of the key free agents in the driver market and will most likely end up at either Haas or Audi. The irony being that if Alpine hadn't already committed to dropping him, he'd be an outstanding candidate for it to sign. The fact Alpine is choosing from such a small pool of drivers, basically the few credible options who don't have a seat elsewhere and those who are on the brink of sliding off the F1 grid, tells you everything you need to know about its struggles. But given its status, as it is still owned by a major manufacturer, it's one that drivers may be willing to take a gamble on. If, that is, they don't have better options.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe that Jack Doohan stuff. It's so weird. Why would they promote Jack Doohan? What is the reason for Jack Doohan? Really? Let's continue the F1 Nation. Oh shit. So we will be done with this.
Formula One
Oh sure, it's
has
Formula 1 now.
500 million fans. And with Salesforce, they have the real-time data to create moments
There you go. Or what I would call scam out.
that wow every single one of them.
off as the uncertainty over 2025
One
has
more
grown.
He's had a bit of bad luck as well. He hasn't had the
100% red.
car to deliver those results. I think that must be the most frustrating thing for a driver, when you feel that you personally can bring it, but you don't have...
Oh, they're talking about Jürgen Joe. Let's see if they mention if he will go to Alpine.
either the luck or the machinery to prove that. That must be tough.
The build up to Montreal was a lot of talk about the 2026 regulations. The chassis was what was being announced in the lead up to the race. The power unit regulations have been set for a couple of years now, but there's going to be a 300% increase in the amount of electrical power, and it's going to be a 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and the electrical side. That's the power unit. On the chassis side, they're going to be smaller, they're going to be lighter, and they're going to generate their downforce in a different way to now. And we're talking about adjustable aerodynamics. The World Motorsport Council is hearing about the new regulations in detail this week in Uzbekistan, and then the final regulations will be set in stone.
Why are they there? Weird place. But sure.
From the end of June. Now, I caught up with the FIA's single-seater director, Nicholas Tombassis, while in Montreal. He's the guy overseeing the FIA's introduction of the new regulations, and he's actually my guest on this week's F1 Beyond the Grid. And here's an extract of what he said.
The aims are to make sure that we have close racing. It's important to have exciting racing and have cars that can follow each other very closely, and where the driver is still fighting for position with another driver, and we feel that that has deteriorated a bit recently on the current cars. Then there's quite a few other things we want to do. We do feel the current cars have a bit too much downforce. There's many corners that are no longer corners, they're flat out. We feel that we do need to have cars with a bit lower downforce, and for more places of the track to be what we call grip limited, to be basically corners. We are making a car that is compatible with the engine regulations which are already approved about a couple of years ago, and these make a step towards sustainability, so we feel that is very important as a first step for Formula One. It's by no means the step, we still need to do more work there. So all of these factors have pushed us towards the current package of regulations.
Do you think it'll be a very competitive field straight out of the box?
No.
Do you think one team could end up stealing a march?
I don't know. Clearly my hope is that it will be very competitive out of the box. My hope is we'll have different teams winning and periods when they go up and down and so on. I think invariably with new rules there will be somebody who gets it wrong and who finds themselves in a rather embarrassing spot to start with. But I do think we're
like
putting some things together to...
Well, I don't know what I'm hoping most for. Mercedes being bad yet again, and I will finally go away. Or will it be more funny if they are actually good? And when Lewis Hamilton leaves for Ferrari, Mercedes is better than Ferrari. Wait, sorry. I'm sorry. Man, why was that so hard? Let's... But I would say I more want to see Mercedes being bad. No more Toto Wolff. Oh, one more fish for the collection. No more Toto Wolff acting like they will ever be back. He will sell it off. Also, one more fish for the collection. Let's see if I can take it before it's get killed by the zombie. Okay, let's see if I can get a trident. I think I'm more hoping that after Lewis Hamilton leaves, he just... Nope, no more Trident. It is just... it's a tie... it's... What can you call it? After he leaves, it's just... Everything is going more badly. More people leaves, less people want to be in Mercedes. And it's like, they're just going to other teams. I mean, like Ferrari. Who knows, maybe Aston Martin will pick up even more people. Williams can also.
To make sure it's more competitive in the long run.
Well, I think that this is another reason why I love our sport, because we never sit still. We're always searching for new, innovative opportunities to improve the racing, and I love the team's response to that, because it tells you all about the competitive order and the commitment to engineer something that achieves just that. I mean, I know that a lot of people aren't fans of DRS because they sort of always think of it as a bit gimmicky. I love it. I do, actually. I love it when you see that a car gets within 1 second. You're just like, come on, what are we going to see here? And then you see a great overtake.
True. The part I don't like with DRS is when I mean, 100% the DRS strain. It's like, for some cars, the DRS works. You can get past them, or you can try to get past them. And some, you can't do anything. It's like, how the fuck can this car, that should be slower, is still fast enough without the DRS to keep you behind with the DRS? It's like, how the fuck does that happen? And then you can,
you know, see another car come back. But
so I hope there's new stuff is like, if you're fast enough and get close to someone, well, you more likely will get past them. And I'm hoping that will actually happen.
I'm interested to see how this new short burst of additional battery power when within 1 second of the car in front comes into play. So will it do the same thing as DRS but just in a different way? But no, it's great. And yeah, the sport that never sits still.
Look, and for more detailed insight,
I would say for Mercedes it has been still a long time. From the end of 2021 to now, they have not done any real progress for the car.
Into those 2026 regs. You can listen to the full interview with Nicholas Tombassis on F1 Beyond the Grid via
one more fish for the collection,
and the official F1 YouTube channel from Wednesday this week. There's also more analysis and reaction on F1.com. So the top 10 look like this. Max Verstappen took win number 60, his third consecutive victory in Montreal. Lando Norris was second and George Russell was third. Hamilton took his best result of the year in fourth and Piastri was fifth. The two Aston Martins were sixth and seventh, Alonso ahead of Stroll. Ricciardo was eighth, with the two Alpines ninth and 10th, Gasly ahead of Ocon. In the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen stretched his lead over Charles Leclerc to 56 points. Lando Norris in third is now just 7 points behind Leclerc. Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez remain fourth and fifth, separated by just 1 point. Oscar Piastri is sixth on 81, coincidentally his race number. Then come George Russell 7th, Lewis Hamilton 8th, Fernando Alonso 9th and Yuki Tsunoda 10th. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have stretched their lead over Ferrari to 49 points. McLaren are third, just 40 points further back. And Mercedes are a very lonely fourth, 88 points behind McLaren and 66 points ahead of Aston Martin in fifth. VCarb are sixth on 28 points, and then it gets very tight. Haas are seventh on 7 points, Alpine are eighth on 5 points, and Williams are ninth on 2. Sauber are yet to score.
Before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to Haas, because when you go against the grain, every single other car is on the inters and you go full wets,
No,
you're probably
it's
thinking,
nice.
this is a bit of a
That's
pun
why
here.
it's so
But
gone.
those opening 10 laps were so thrilling to watch. Kevin and Nico carved through the field. I mean, he made up like...
Magnussen did. Hulkenberg didn't do that much.
like 10 places in 4 laps, talking about Kev here. It was great to watch, and it was great to see them roll the dice in that way. And actually, you know, it could have just about worked, but it seemed as if he was held a bit long on the pit stop, that perhaps had that pit stop been just a bit slicker, he might have come out in the top 10 and got into the points as a result. But I just love teams trying something a bit different. It didn't quite pay off, but it was worth the gamble.
And I think it says a lot about Io Komatsu's leadership, in that he is prepared to roll the dice. The guys were starting, what was it,
Trident.
14th and 17th on the grid.
Give me...
There's going to be jeopardy. It's a wet Canadian Grand Prix. There might be a red flag. There'll probably certainly be a safety car at some point. Let's
No, it's
roll
a
the
fish
dice,
roll.
put extreme wets on when everyone else... If we start this race on inters, we're going to be 14th and 17th at the end of lap 1 and probably at the end of lap 2. So let's roll the dice. I completely agree. I love it. And I think it says a lot about
Trident.
Io. I'm a huge fan of what Komatsu is actually doing at Haas as well. Well, Pinks, does that mean that Kevin Magnussen or Nico Hulkenberg is your driver of the day? Or is what you
Nope.
said earlier in the pod about Max still standing?
I think I have to still stick with Max, and it isn't for the obvious reason that he won the race, it's the way he won the race. And I just think you're seeing a much more experienced, level-headed, mature racing driving.
Mature, yes. I mean, I don't understand this mature stuff. It's like you can't say yes. Someone, I mean, after 1 year is more mature. But holy shit, Tom Clarkson says like for every driver. As soon as they do something interesting or do somewhat good race, then it's like, I feel like he has matured a lot. It's like the only thing Tom Clarkson can say about drivers, they're mature for some reason.
Here that nothing really seems to faze him, and you know, it's testament to both his and the team's application in those moments where things aren't quite going their way, to come out on top. And again, you know, we've said it before, there to be that much of a difference between him and his teammate proves that it certainly wasn't an easy victory, but he still managed to secure it.
I agree. Max Verstappen has to be the driver of the day. I think if you're being cold-blooded about it and saying who did the best job.
Trident.
But mentioning dispatches for Lando Norris, I think this was a really significant race for Norris in that he overtook Max Verstappen on track. He dealt with very difficult conditions. Yes, okay, he made a couple of small errors, and the safety car thing, he'll be kicking himself about. But somehow psychologically, this was a...
People don't mention it, but Logan Sargent made the safety car happen. So can't we just blame Logan Sargent for making Lando Norris not win the race? Only some... No fucking copper. Fuck. This is weird.
Significant race for Norris in the way that he matched Max Verstappen, and I think that will help him going forward. So Max Verstappen, my driver of the day, but really great race for Norris as well. Well, Pinks, great to chat.
I thought you might ask me if I'm going to bus.
Fucking great. No. Fuck me, I hate Tom Clarkson so much. I mean, he as a person, man. He can maybe talk a lot, but nothing is said. Like he know every what can you say, smart word that you can use in a sentence, but the sentence have no meaning. Also, one more fish for the collection. Let's see, 12. We can place 8. So 10 more. 5, 7. So 3 more fishes I can collect before I need to place them in the shulker box. Or need to, I don't need to, but it make a less of a mess if I do it after collect 3 more fishes. Let's see, it's 7, 47, 1 minute 31 seconds. 1 minute 31 seconds. Yeah, 1 minute and 31 seconds left of this fucking nightmare of a fucking I mean, all this. If you've seen a F1 Nation podcast, or listen to, is maybe more correct word. I mean, he had some people. Oh, what do you call that? Fuck me. Someone that's are on the show but usually aren't. A guest, you can say. I mean, I have made the joke that... they have made the joke that if I had a podcast, of course I would want to have Tom Clarkson on that show. Because he's so funny, yeah, sure. And the laugh after that from Tom Clarkson is like, the fuck is this? I don't... The lies and the trying to make it to a really funny joke when it's not at all funny joke. Oh my god. But hey! The good part is, like I said, 1 minute and 41 seconds and then we're fucking done with this and we can go to, I would say, more interesting stuff. Like what Millward, I think his name is. Think about, I believe it's Antonelli getting Formula 1 of FIA changed when you can start driving from 18 to 17 for some reason. I don't know. Oh yeah, one more fish for the collection. Betty Brown Live. 6, 8. So 2 more. And then we have something about IndyCar. I don't know what that is, but okay, 1 minute, 1 second.
Pinks, are you going to Barcelona?
Well,
No.
funny you should ask that. I was going to Barcelona, but
then, wait. What can be the reason why she wouldn't go to Barcelona? British bias, maybe?
I happened to chance upon 2 Taylor Swift tickets for me and my daughter.
Okay, what the fuck? Aren't you... Fucking Taylor Swift. I believe Formula 1 should go 100% before that. The fuck you... Do what your daughter say when you can watch Formula 1? Fuck.
It is going to be her 8th birthday. I'm taking her to...
Really? You waste money on that for someone that are 8 years old? The fuck? Okay, that's something.
Tate, and big love and thanks to Simon Lazenby for swapping races with me so that I could do just that.
That's brilliant. Okay, whereabouts are you seeing?
In other words, she have British bias and she can't... She don't wanna be in Spain. 1 more fish for the collection. For the 1,541 big collection of tropical fishes.
Her?
Wembley!
Pinks, which night?
21st, Friday the 21st, we will be there celebrating Willow's birthday with her all-time hero Taylor Swift, and that does.
No! Someone from Formula 1 should 100% be the hero. Fuck. But yeah, okay, sure. Fucking Taylor Swift.
Mean that I have to do Spa for like the 6th year running, and I'm just hoping that it's not drilling
In the
rain
rain.
as it is every other
Yeah,
time.
it will.
Oh,
Can
I
you
don't
get-
mind.
when
I
you-
don't mind. It's worth it.
If you see Taylor Swift in person, will you tell her to come to a Grand
One
Prix
more.
with her boyfriend Travis Kelce, who was in
Yes.
Montreal again? Travis was in Miami. He came to Montreal as well. He's loving it. So,
No,
Just a matter of
this
time.
one.
well, Pix, have a great time. And of course,
Thank you.
we will be back
Oh yeah,
on
fuck
the
me.
show.
I got no salmon today. The fuck is this? I'm going to say I've... Let's see, how many can I have gotten? What, the blue? Did I get blue today? I know, at least I got this red one. There we are, spotted red. So I've at least got 1 10. 10 before I even got on salmon. No, that's in the wrong place. Okay. At least more copper than I have salmon. Can that be? No, it can't. Okay, back to the nightmare. 24 seconds.
Previewing the Spanish Grand Prix that Natalie Pinkham will not be at because she's at the Taylor Swift concert
Yeah,
next
waste of time.
Monday. But thank you everybody for listening, and of course, F1 Nation
No,
is
fuck.
produced by Formula One
No fucking
and
thank you.
Audio Boom Studio.
Finally, it's over. Fuck this. Fuck this! Screw you guys, I'm going home. Fuck me, I hate. Where the fuck do we have him? There we have Aidan Millward. Such a weird name. It's nothing to do with nationality. Opinions on the recent superlines and rule changes. I don't know if any rule changes have actually happened. I only seen something about Antonelli. I don't know if it was Antonelli. I think it was something mentioned that it is somewhat some talk about changing from 18 to 17, I think, for someone, and someone who should that be? I mean, 100% it should be Antonelli. That is the reason why. I'm not I don't think Jack Doohan have that problem, but hey, let's see what's have happened in Formula 1.
So one thing that popped up on Friday was the rules surrounding the super license and how difficult.
Yeah, I still feel like it can't just be. I mean, it must be that someone asked if they can do it, and then maybe said, well, we can look it up. Can we maybe change something? Should it be 1 year before someone can join or something? But I don't understand. I don't think an actual change will happen. Also, one more fish for the collection and one more. And Sunstreak, red Magnata, and stripy black blue. And in case, I just wanna see if no, it doesn't look like I missed, or if I missed it have It have disappeared. But it have... Oh, what's that called? Oh shit, what is the name when something in a game removes itself to... Yeah, remove data so the game will run better. The fuck is that called? Despawn. Holy shit. The fish have most likely despawn if it ever was a fish that I wanted. Okay, back to reasons.
It can be to get one, because things have changed in the last sort of, I don't know, 10 or 12 years that have made getting one of these things quite difficult. So what is a super license? It's the FIA's top level racing license, and it's what you need to participate in Formula 1. Without one, you can't race. You can test, you can do a couple of practice sessions, but actually racing in the category is a solid 9 out of 10 if you aren't in possession of one. They're also bloody expensive, with people already in the sport renewing their licenses based off the points they scored in the previous season. It has probably gone up even more since, but in 2012 there was a flat fee for the license of €10,000.
Oh shit! Sergio Perez Formula 1 license will be really cheap. Well, that's maybe he is helping out the team. He make his license cost less.
And then €1,000 extra per point scored. If you score 1 point, it's €11,000. If you score 200 points, then, well, yeah, it's going to add up. So the top drivers are going to be paying over €250,000 for every renewal. And Jenson Button spoke up about all of this when it kicked off with all that stuff. Personally, I don't feel that we should be paying different super license fees for different drivers and different point situations. I mean, when you get your license to drive on the road, because you do more miles, you don't pay more for it, do you? And you don't pay more
Maybe
for a license in any other category because you've got a better car or whatever, so it should be a flat fee. But in more recent years, the rules have changed again. Basically, you now have to earn your super license instead of just buying one like guys would have done back in the 80s or the 90s. It's all because of something that's now commonly known as the Verstappen rule. Because Max Verstappen entered at such a young age...
That's so mean. Make a rule because you're so good at driving that you get promoted really fast.
Being 16 when he did his first practice session, and then being 17 when he did his first race, there's little wonder why he's now listed as youngest ever X, Y and Z on the stat sheets. Prior to this, the youngest driver on the grid had been Jaime Alguersuari, who joined the grid aged 19 years 124 days, and that was at the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix. And also, as a fun fact, Jaime was the first driver born in the 90s to do a race. But that's not to say Formula 1 hasn't had young drivers before. Mike Thackwell was 19 years 181 days when he debuted at the 1980 Canadian.
Man, I mean, this is... Aren't we happy that Max Verstappen is the youngest? Than fucking Lance Stroll. Fuck that. Lando Norris 19... Oh, Fernando Alonso, also 19. Man. That was long time ago. Fucking Fernando Alonso is 19 years old. Okay, so many people at 19, Oliver Berman 18. But that must Oliver Berman somewhat be happy with. Be part of the 18 years old crew.
Grand Prix. Ricardo Rodriguez was 19 years and 207 days at the 1961 Italian Grand Prix, which was ridiculous in those days. And Sebastian Vettel, Lando Norris, Danny Kvyat, Esteban Tuero, Fernando Alonso...
Oh shit, Lando Norris. The fuck is him? Oh. He's the beginning of the 19-year crew.
Esteban Ocon were all 19 years old on their debuts. But with Verstappen and later Lance Stroll joining at the ages of 17 and 18, the FIA felt that it needed to step in. Because, as is often the case, the teams will start looking for their own Max Verstappen. Similarly, in other team sports, they're all trying to get their own wonder kids. But football, hockey, baseball, cricket and rugby work in a slightly different way to racing. They're not lobbing a machine capable of 200 miles an hour around a track before they're able to get their driving licenses. There have been 16-year-old professional footballers in the past, but again, what's the worst they're going to encounter? They're not going to hit a brick wall at 200 miles an hour, are they? And while Verstappen is indeed a special case, the other 17-year-olds that the teams will try to force into a race seat too early are probably going to be the sort to wrap a car around a tree while trying to do handbrake turns in the Halfords car park. The FIA went through a similar scenario during the mid-1990s when, during the 1994 season, there was a merry-go-round of drivers coming and going from teams that were looking for every penny possible to ensure survival. Teams like LaRousse, Simtek and Lotus were looking at the balance sheets and thinking, bother. As a result, some drivers ended up on the grid that really should not have been there, the likes of Taki Inui, Jean-Denis Delatraz and others. Drivers so far
off... so a lot of stuff that I know nothing about. So... yeah, when they actually talk about the Antonelli or anything that I know, then I can maybe say something.
The pace that they were a legitimate danger to themselves and others around them because they didn't have the pace or spatial awareness to cope. Now though, it's a little bit more extreme. We have the Verstappen rule, and it is as follows. FIA International Sporting Code Appendix L Article 5 is the bit you need to look at for all of this, and in its current iteration states that drivers must be a minimum of 18 years old at the start of their first F1 competition.
Oh shit! One more fish for the collection. It looked like a salmon fish for some reason. No, stop. And Sunstreak Cyan Pink. Just an interesting looking fish. Gone. Still just one copper. Fuck is this?
They must be the holder of an international grade A competition license, hold a valid driving license for their country of origin, so 17 in the UK for reference, pass a theory test on knowledge of the F1 sporting code and regulations when they apply for that license, complete at least 80% of any 2 seasons outlined in the regulations, and accumulate over 40 qualifying points over the previous 3 seasons in any of the series outlined in the regulations. Although if you have previously held a license, gone out of Formula 1 for a bit, come back and carried on, none of this applies. It's why Kubica was able to come back, Alonso after a couple of years away, and if Mick was to get back on the grid, he could. The FIA can...
Man, come on. Bring Mick Schumacher back to Formula 1. Come on, Alpine. Fuck Jack Doohan. Bring Mick Schumacher. Or... if you don't bring him on, take Yoga Joe and then make China more interesting to invest, and then it can become the Lotus team, a Chinese Formula 1 team with the name Lotus.
Can grant exceptions on the basis of they've demonstrated they can do this before if they come back within 3 years, but they have made exceptions for, say, Kubica and so on. The FIA can also grant exceptions for the likes of people like Sebastian Buemi, Kamui Kobayashi, and other ex-F1 drivers who are...
yeah, all drivers that I know nothing about.
The WEC.
Nice.
I'll screenshot the points table from Wikipedia and put it on your screen for you, so you can pause and have a look at it in your own time. Things work on a sliding scale down from 1st to 10th, but it depends on the series.
Let's see, where's the IndyCar? NASCAR... where is... is the IndyCar the last one? That one you can't fucking see because the... God damn it.
Screen for you, so you can pause and have a look at it in your own time.
I
Things
couldn't.
work on a sliding scale down from 1st to 10th, but it depends on the series and the level that the FIA deems that series.
IndyCar NXT, is that what the name is? IndyCar NXT. If we go, let's see, if we go to say just IndyCar, let's see if I go to IndyCar NXT, the fuck is that? in the NXT. Okay, so it's not fucking IndyCar. What the fuck is IndyCar? Okay, and the fuck me, there we have the IndyCar. Oh, it's number 2. Oh, fuck me. So IndyCar NXT is something below IndyCar. Fuck me.
Series to be. So something like the British Touring Car Championship is going to score you nothing, while the FIA's official feeder series are going to be worth a lot more.
Fish for the
At the top we have the FIA Formula 2 Championship, the official feeder series for Formula 1, and underneath we have IndyCar.
Trident!
If you win F2 or IndyCar, congratulations, you can be a Formula 1 driver. In fact, if you come first, second or third in Formula 2, you can be an F1 driver. In IndyCar though, it's slightly different. It goes 40, 30, 20, 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, which sounds like it could be an F1 point system. Win the series, you can be an F1 driver. Come second a couple of years in a row, you could be an F1 driver. Subject to getting a seat, obviously. But the other stuff is all on there too. Like I say, you can pause and read at your leisure. The open wheel stuff is paying way more than the closed cockpit series. And IndyCar is something we're going to stick with here because on Friday the 14th of June 2024, the FIA made a decision regarding a certain up-and-coming talent in the junior categories that has annoyed IndyCar. Kimi Antonelli is a
No, really, they have? Fuck it. Yeah, fuck Coulter Herta, I guess.
Mercedes prospect that has been running in Formula Regional but is now in Formula 2. His time in the juniors has been quite decent, winning Formula Regional, or European Formula 3 as you might know it, last year, and also winning Formula 4 the year before. Currently, he sits 6th in Formula 2, but because of his success in Formula 4 and Formula 3, well, Formula Regional, he has the sufficient points required to race in Formula 1. The rumour has been in recent months that Antonelli will be moving to Williams within the next few races to replace...
Okay, I thought he would say he will join Williams for 2025, but that could be interesting. Already this year. Huh. I mean, it could happen. Also, one more fish for the collection.
Logan Sargent, who has been underperforming versus his teammate Alex Albon this year. But one thing that has been...
This year, the year before also. Just 1 point, and that was because 2 other drivers was disqualified.
Hitting him in the back bottom is the simple matter of his age. The request to the FIA...
That would be depressing. If Lewis Sargent get kicked out and Antonelli comes in, and he actually succeeds to get points. So Lewis Sargent will be even further down on the list. Instead of being 21, he will be 22 in the championship.
Was made some time ago, I don't know exactly when, but the request was not made by Toto Wolff, the Mercedes boss. While the source of the request was confirmed to not be from Toto, it's thought that instead it came from James Vowles at Williams, as they tried to put in contingencies should they need to get rid of Sargent. Now, Kimi is 17, he's not 18. The rules say he has to be 18, but the FIA in recent days has granted the Italian an exemption that has got a lot of people talking.
Really? Oh my god, they fucking did that? That's so weird. Why? For what reason? Okay, what the fuck?
He also does not hold a valid driving license in Italy, but the FIA has said that he has demonstrated outstanding ability and maturity in single-seat Formula cars, and has changed the wording of the rules to include the phrase, may be granted a super license at the age of 17. May being the operative word. And I can see why this exception...
Okay, there we have it. He will maybe succeed to get that. It could also not happen and will happen next year.
Is now in because of something I didn't know until I found out the minimum driving ages for Europe.
Hey, we can look that up. Let's see. Antonelli. Nally. The fuck is Antonella Rocuzzo? Who the fuck is that? Oh, Messi. Okay. Why she is important, but now we are on Kimmy. Andrea Kym Antonelli. Let's see, his age is, so he's 17, 25th August. So in 2 months he is 18. Okay, now I can understand why they can do slightly look away on his age, but that's because it's fucking 2 months and then he's actually have that age. So what I believe could happen that is they make the paperwork now, and then when he's actually is 18, then everything can then you can actually write down your name on the contract.
Only in the UK, Iceland, France, Hungary and Kosovo, the minimum age at which you can have a full car driving licence is 17. I got mine at 17. So basically everywhere on the map shaded in yellow or orange, everywhere else in various shades of blue, it's 18. The different shades represent when you can drive on L plates or that country's equivalent. So in Sweden, for instance, you can drive supervised at 16, but you can't take your test until you're 18. So bringing it down to the lowest age in Europe only on a discretionary basis makes sense. It's just, how do you fairly apply that discretion? Because if you've got a driver who's insanely good from France or Britain or maybe even Iceland, just as a weird thing to consider.
Man, when will that happen? A Formula 1 world champion from Iceland. Oh, fucking Greenland. That will be something. Or one of the fucking small islands that exist around here. Like from these places.
They can hold a valid driving license at 17, so surely they should be able to hold an FIA super license at 17? Answers on a postcard.
Hitta topprankade produkter till priser du kommer älska. Sök efter vad du än behöver. Amazon.se idag.
One more
Tänk
fish
till
for the
exempel att du får
collection.
motorstopp mitt i ingenstans. En online-tutorial hjälper lite. If hjälper mycket. Välkommen till If-försäkringar.
But like I said, it's got a lot of people talking because on the other side of the Atlantic driving an IndyCar...
Oh man, for real, fuck IndyCar.
...is a man who can't get a super license, but boy, he really wants a super license. Colton Herta is a name that, if you're an F1-centric viewer, might have heard of. I've mentioned him a few times. In 2022, Herta was denied a super license as Red Bull sought to replace Pierre Gasly with him as Gasly moved to Alpine.
Wait, let's see. Did that really happen? Was it Gasly? Oh yeah, it maybe was. Yeah. Let's see. Man, that was a long time ago. $2022? No, it must be 2023. Oh my god, Ricciardo must be still in the McLaren. Fuck him. Eller fuck. Not a good season for Dan Ricciardo being in fucking McLaren.
And then Herta could drive for AlphaTauri. But when the request was made, the FIA declined on the basis that the then 22-year-old hadn't attained the correct amount of licence points. Now, the FIA can use force majeure for older drivers if they think a driver has demonstrated incredible progression through the motorsport ladder, as outlined in 13.1.2 of the International Sporting Code. This is actually written in their own rulebook, and it concerns drivers outside of Formula 1 as well as drivers like Antonelli, who are currently under the age of 18. Where the IndyCar fans, drivers and pundits are a little bit pissed off is that this ability has been used for Antonelli, but not for Herta. Alex Rossi tweeted the other day, "Oh, so exemptions can be made after all," which has got people thinking.
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, aren't you happy that you can still drive in IndyCar? Is it that much better than Formula 1?
That no exceptions can be made at all, but they can. And the FIA has always been able to use this force majeure. But still, why Antonelli and not Herta? So Antonelli has now been allowed a super license at the age of 17, which covers him from the Spanish Grand Prix, which is next up, all the way up to the Dutch Grand Prix, which is coincidentally...
And this I will also say, if you're in the car and complaining that you can't be in Formula 1, maybe you should actually go and do like Longsarian did. He went and drove in Formula 3, Formula 2. I mean, that is the way. If you want to be in Formula 1, at least pick the right way to walk. Then fucking being in the car and then complaining you can't go to Formula 1. Also, one more fish for the collection. Sounds like green pink. Green pink. Cyan pink. Yeah. So we get green pink and cyan pink. Nice.
The day he turns 18. But the thing is, the IndyCar fans are a little bit hacked off because they've made the exception for this guy who's racing in the European Series, but they're not allowing a guy who absolutely wants a super license to be able to take part. And it's got people saying, oh, they don't want Americans in, they are anti-American, they're this, they're this, they're this, and this, and
Fuck
this.
America.
So on. But the thing is, Antonelli has 40 license points because he won F4 and Formula Regional back-to-back. Herta has 10 from finishing IndyCar in 5th, 10th and 10th in the last 3 years. There isn't an up-to-date list of the points for 2024, but from IndyCar I think at the minute Dixon, Power, Palo and Newgarden and maybe McLaughlin are the ones that qualify. Now please don't take this as Cope Hardy Yankees stop crashing maybe. I'm not for a second suggesting that the system is right. The system definitely is biased in favour of the European Formula Series. The FIA is going to favour its own feeder series over the...
I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you promote people in Formula to Formula than fucking people from fucking IndyCar instead of people from Formula?
And I'm going to call it this national level series that is IndyCar. Also, whenever I tune in to watch IndyCar, Herta's in a wall. I'm not saying that's another reason, but it's probably not helping his case. But then again, this is the same...
True! They can't... not at all. Oh my god. Yeah, fucking Newgarden fucked his race. The last race that happened. That doesn't even help his case either.
Same FIA that wouldn't give Sebastian Loeb a super license because he, quote, didn't have enough experience in open wheels. Sebastian Loeb. Sebastian Loeb. If the best driver of the last 25 years can't get a super license, what chance has Herta got? This is not about nationality. It's not about F1 being scared of American drivers. It's not about F1 being scared of IndyCar drivers being on the grid and upstaging their boys. One driver has got the correct amount of points and turns 18 in 8 weeks. The other has finished 5th, 10th and 10th in his last 3 seasons and only has a quarter of the points required. If Herta was racing in Formula 2 and scored the same finishes, he'd have 26 points. So whether he's in Formula 2 or IndyCar, he's going to have just over half or just over a quarter of the points required. But the system does definitely need an overhaul. Formula 2's system is on your screen for you. 40 points for the top 3, 30 for 4th, 20 for 5th, 10th for 6th, and then 8, 6, 4, 3 down to 10th. So if you finish in the top 3, you're in. Finish 5th one year and then finish 5th or above in your second season, you're in. And this is without counting points obtained in the previous season either. So if you were to come 4th in Formula 3, which is 15 points, you can still finish 5th in Formula 2 the following year and qualify for a super license. You could finish 8th and 6th over 2 years and still get...
But still, even if this point system is bad or good, you can still win the Formula 1 2 like Mick Schumacher. Or even more, Drugovich. and you will still have no seat. And then you have Antonelli that has still not won and will probably not win Formula 2, but will be in Formula 1. So Formula 1 pick the people they actually want
into Formula 1, obviously assuming you can find a seat. And on top of this, we've seen guys finish in the F2 series and get into Formula 1 to only be discovered that they're well out of their depth. Latifi finished second in 2019, while Mick Schumacher was down in 12th, meaning Latifi qualified while Mick didn't and had to spend another year in Formula 2 to get the points. Sargent's results in Formula 3 and Formula 2 qualified him for a licence. Antonelli hasn't exactly been setting the world on fire in Formula 2, but he still has the points required. It's a strange system. He's 6th in Formula 2 at the time of writing this video, which for reference is Saturday the 15th of June 2024, but can't get a licence, with some online saying that the fact he's 6th should be an indication of him not being ready. But at the same time, Mick was 12th in his first F2 season and people were saying he needed to be in Formula 1. But I think that's one of those it depends on who it is things. Nostalgia for the Michael in this case.
True.
Is Antonelli ready? Probably not. Maybe he needs another season to see if
Mick
he can get to the top, because the way things are with testing
one
these
more
days,
fish
you
for the
can't
collection.
get used to a car. You can't do what Jacques Villeneuve did, for instance, and spend the entire winter driving a car around to get used to it. You sort of have to hit the ground running. But then you've got someone like Latifi, like I said, finished second in 2019, absolutely destroying Mick Schumacher, and then he gets to Formula 1 and spends more time in a wall. So where does the Venn diagram of points and talent add up? How do you judge it better? Some drivers do really well in one series, for instance, but then do terribly in another series. I mean, look at someone like Brendan Hartley, who's really good in sports cars.
God damn it.
Didn't quite cut it in Formula 1. If anything, the IndyCar system probably needs to match Formula 2's or be very close to it, to make it so that IndyCar drivers have a better chance of crossing over.
No, fuck IndyCar. IndyCar is for washed up Formula 1 drivers, like Marcus Ericsson. Maybe Porsche if he will still be in Formula 1. Also, one more fish for the collection. Batty orange blue. Jogan Joe. Grosjean is a Formula 1 washed up Formula 1 driver. Who more? Daniel Ricciardo, maybe, if he will not be in Formula 1. One more fish for the collection, and glitter black and white.
For the gap. We've seen quite a few European-based drivers go over to IndyCar in recent years, or IndyCar's relative series, such as Jamie Chadwick, Roman Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson, Callum Ilott, which is something I addressed in another opinion video.
Oh shit! So Ilott. How is let's see, where do we have it? Points. We want standings. Paint. Ilott. Where do we have Ilott? Ilott. What the fuck? Is it in? Oh, there we are. Ilott. And how many? The fuck is laps led? Oh, we led one lap. Points. There we have points. 39. Oh shit! Tepo is destroying him.
if both the Indy and F1 feeder series are starting to render each other irrelevant, because a lot of guys out of Formula 2 and so on are going to IndyCar due to the lack of F1 seats, and then that renders NXT useless because the Indy seats are being taken by European-based drivers who can bring...
Isn't that funny? Also, one more fish for the collection. 2 more and then it will be... Then the fun will not begin, because then I will go down and place down all in the chest. That will be somewhat funny.
...in more money. Probably because Formula 2 is many expense. Well, I reckon one of the teams should give Herta a test. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. See where he ranks against some of the other drivers. Who we'd do that test with, I'm not sure. Well, maybe Zach Brown could do his mate Andretti a favour. The only issue is the rules regarding that. Herta would have to be in a 2021 car, which isn't the same as what they've got now, and the conditions would be incredibly different to what Lando and Ricciardo would have been doing the testing and racing under, unless they do a back-to-back test. So Lando goes out, or Piastri goes out, and then Herta goes out. Book it, Vince. I think in some ways a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. On one hand, Antonelli has done enough to be granted a licence, and with his birthday being just 2 months away, it's a bit like the bloke behind the bar in the local pub going, "Oh, all right, you're only a couple of months away, you're only a couple of weeks away. Yeah, go on then, just don't tell anybody."
Yeah, true. Just fucking 2 months away. Surely you can maybe do some... I mean, look how often cops can just say, "Oh, you drove too fast, but this day I can let you go with just a warning." Maybe in USA that doesn't happen. More likely maybe get shot, who knows.
While for Herta, he doesn't have the required amount, but at the same time he's really interested.
At least if you maybe is black, but who knows. I don't make the routes, I just see them.
Interested in giving it a crack, so they have to find some way of giving him a test.
One more fish with the collection.
He's off, but at least they tried it before he made a fool of himself on track. Not saying he's definitely going to do that, it's a just-in-case thing. But while Herta is being shafted a bit by the FIA system, he isn't really doing himself any favours by finishing 10th for 2 years in a row, so he might need to pull his finger out in that respect, but that's not to say that the system isn't broken. So then this has been a thing that's happened.
That I would say, IndyCar can maybe be a broken place of being. I mean, like this, everyone can win a race. Everyone have a equally car made. It's like so much bullshit. How come I can almost guess that Chip Ganassi and Penske will win a race and be right, than if I would put every other team that exists in the car? Yeah, we can. We go down already now.
And in the world of motorsport, and this has been my opinions on that thing. If this thing has made you think things about the thing, then like this thing, so I know I've done a good job. And for more things
18,
like this, hit the subscribe
20,
button thing
22,
and ring the bell thing, so you never miss
24,
out on anything that I do around here.
30,
Massive
36,
thanks as ever
40.
to the fine bunch of lads at Patreon for the continued support. And if you want to help support me at a more personal level, then a link to Patreon is in the description, along with links to Discord, socials,
81.
affiliate links, and other bits and bobs you might want or need to know. Well, there's super thanks if you just want to buy me a coffee, or there's memberships if you want to support but want a Patreon alternative.
No.
Not mandatory, but greatly appreciated. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.
Have a great day. I don't know if that will be happening, but sure. Yeah, and then perfect timing. Then we have a lot of IndyCar stuff to be listened to by David Land. Okay, plus 41. Should be 40. 18, 20, 22, 24, 30, 36, 40. Yep, it's 40. Okay, we fix up the 100%. I don't know what the fuck do you call that, the fishes that have just one color. The full colored fishes. Blue. Blue da ba di bi di da. Blue da ba di bi di da ba di da bi da bi di da ba. Do we have any more full colored eller cyan? Silence! I kill you. Okay, only 3 fishes. Oh shit, I've not moved that yet. God damn it. Snooper. Snooper blue. Some nice water music. Was it Snooper? No, Spotty. Spotty red. Oh, fuck me, we have one. Brightly cyan. Nice. So -1. No, red was it. Let's see. I wanna see Godzilla -1. Huh. Interesting. Was thinking, where did I -1? Is it that the Godzilla stuff? I have not seen it, but it's made in should be in Japan. Yeah, a Japan movie. You know, it will be a good movie. It's not made in fucking America. Spotty red. We have a spotty blue. Spotty red. No, no spotty red, but we have. So not a copy of a copy. We only have a copy. Clayfish. Flopper. Betty. Flopper. Betty. Betty. Then we have blockfish, clayfish. Okay, we have somewhat more. Go away, glitter and glitter. Snooper. Did we take all the one we can? No, one dasher. Okay, we have everything. Now we can start the IndyCar. It's happening. Something is happening in the car. I don't know what. I feel like something Fox med båt? I don't know anything. Let's see.
Time for an emergency video, and this is an extremely important one. And
I don't
you've
think
already
so.
read the title, you've seen the thumbnail, you've clicked on this
I saw the thumbnail, but something in the car Fox, I think.
video. And it's finally something that we can start talking about in fairly
Yellow
solid
black.
terms. Adam Stern reported just a couple of minutes ago, as I'm recording this, that IndyCar and Fox Sports are a couple of days away from announcing that they, meaning Fox Sports, will be the TV provider for IndyCar coverage for the foreseeable future, replacing NBC. Now, this is something that I've talked.
Okay. I don't know anything if that's good or bad. But he's an IndyCar fan, so he should know 100% if this is something good or if it's something bad. And what this means for IndyCar's future. Brown, green. I can't. No, stop giving me copies. Get it to 2,700. It takes so much longer if I get so many copies. Yellow, pink. Nice. No, yellow, pink. Orange, blue. Batty, orange. Batty, orange. Batty, orange. Batty. There we have Batty, orange. Batty, orange. Blue. Orange, blue. God damn it. Okay, we got one Batty that was good. Okay, time for the blockfish.
About freely and openly on these videos and on Twitter, but I got to give a shout out to the members of the DL500 Club. You guys have known about this for a while. I've been pretty candid on those live streams that I have believed for a long time. In fact, I was telling people as early as St. Pete that I believed that Fox Sports was going to get the IndyCar TV deal, and it looks like we're a couple of days away now from the confirmation.
Fucking IndyCar. Is it that really worth the money to get that license? God damn it! Red, gray.
Information officially of this coming together. So if you're not a member of the DL500 Club, you're missing out on some information that isn't quite ready for public consumption, but I would say is still pretty accurate. And yeah, so obviously a lot to talk about in this video, right? Because this is a pretty surprising move to a certain extent, because IndyCar, prior to signing the deal in 2018 with NBC, IndyCar had been, at least the coverage of the Indianapolis 500, had been on ABC for 50 plus years of coverage.
50 years? Holy fuck. Had a monopoly on the 500 race.
That particular race. There had been wide world of sports coverage, and then the actual airings of a specific broadcast tailored to the Indianapolis 500 began in 1965. So a very, very long partnership there, and it appears like NBC's sports partnership with IndyCar significantly shorter, only between, for the, at least in terms of controlling the Indianapolis 500 in the entire season, this partnership is only going to have lasted from 2019 through the end of the 2024 season. Though, of course, The origins of the NBC deal began way back in 2009 when Tony George signed a deal to put most of the races on a small, fairly unknown channel called Versus, which was then bought by Comcast and merged with NBC, and then became the NBC Sports Network. Then, of course, eventually Network NBC got to broadcast races starting in 2019. So, you know, there's no official details of the deal yet. There's a lot of things floating around there, things which I believe, by the way. I guess I'll throw some of these things out there and, you know, again, put these in the rumor speculation territory, although I think they're fairly accurate given the people I've heard them from. My understanding is that Fox Sports offered more money, potentially as much as double the current around $20 million that NBC is offering IndyCar. Now, as reported first by Marshall Pruitt, there was a report that NBC had counter-offered that particular deal with more network races, potentially putting all of the races on network television for IndyCar going forward, but keeping the monetary side of things the same. Fox then reported by Tony Donahue this weekend. Apparently,
so I want to know, this Fox Sport, is their investment in IndyCar really worth the money? I want to
countered that offer with not only the money, but also the network races. And that deal, frankly, too good to be true. And it looks like that IndyCar's going to take that deal. Now, there's going to be a lot of panic about this because everybody knows what NASCAR on Fox became over the course of the years, right? It went from extremely innovative coverage, extremely cutting edge, extremely, in some ways, edgy, to almost like an episode of Hee Haw. And if you don't know what that is, your grandparents probably weren't born in the 1930s, and
or they aren't fucking American. Who knows?
Apologize. So for the Zoomers out there, I would say it turned into an episode of, well, here's the comparison. NASCAR on Fox kind of became the Ricky Bobby version of NASCAR. And it's kind of been...
That's just something non-American knows.
...that for a little while. Now, that being said, there's some great people who work for NASCAR on Fox, right? Mike Joy has done a great job. And the booth that they currently have with Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick's really starting to come into its own. But NASCAR and Fox have had some issues over the last few years. And it's not just the fact that the coverage has gotten a little bit less hardcore or a little bit less focused. It's become... NASCAR has signed a new TV deal, which includes new providers such as Amazon and the returning Turner Sports under the TBS banner. And Amazon is taking 2 of the Fox races away. Now, Mike Joy, in previous statements that he's made on Twitter, has mentioned that the NASCAR Cup Series broadcasts cost the Fox network upwards of $20 million a show, upwards of $20 million a race. So why does Fox push for practice and qualifying with NASCAR broadcasts, and why are they potentially upset that they're losing 2 big races, including the Coca-Cola 600 on Memorial Day weekend? Well, that's why. They spend a tremendous amount of money on this particular property, that property being NASCAR.
Not worth the money.
And even funded an auxiliary show on their Fox Sports 1 network. That was called Race Hub. Now, kind of ironically, and I don't think unintentionally, Race Hub, right before this broke, yesterday aired their last episode. NASCAR Race Hub is no longer a thing, and unfortunately the upwards of 70 employees, based on my understanding, that Fox Sports employed, many of whom go back to the Speed Vision days at Fox, have been let go. So the last vestiges of Speed Channel, to quote Grand Moff Tarkin to a certain extent, have been flittered away. It's gone. Speed Vision. Finally in the dirt. So you might be asking, well, why would A, Fox take on IndyCar, and B...
Yeah, true. Why the fuck would I waste money on fucking IndyCar? Start investing in Formula 1.
how would IndyCar be broadcast on Fox if they've gotten rid of all of their full-time racing people? Well, the first answer to the first question is that Fox has this money to spend, and they have it to spend on auto racing, and pretty clearly IndyCar is a cheaper property to get a hold of.
Okay, actually that's true. It's investing in enough sport that are cheap now, and you're trying to make it worth more in the future.
Get the rights to the NASCAR #1, and if you can get the entire IndyCar series, which includes the Indianapolis 500, which is the second highest rated from a TV rating perspective race in the country, behind another Fox Sports property, the Daytona 500, which takes place when everybody's snowed in, and it gets an incredible TV rating every year of around 9 million people. The Indy 500 is about 6. So Fox Sports looks at NASCAR kind of turning away from them to a certain extent. I'm sure they see the negative comments. I know they see the negative comments about their NASCAR coverage. They lost the Xfinity series as well. That certainly opens up some budget. And they've gotten rid of their in-house production staff for auto racing. So they have a great opportunity to take the two biggest auto racing properties and bring them in-house. Makes a lot of sense. Now, how would Fox produce IndyCar broadcasts despite the fact that Fox has gotten rid of all the racing?
Oh, there we have it.
Well, if you didn't know, I'm going to tell you how the cookie's made. IndyCar has produced their own broadcasts, essentially from the beginning of the series, which, if you consider...
Okay, so they're just buying them up, or what? So you invest in what already exists?
For this series, the Indy Racing League, we're talking about 1996. But the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar have their own production company. It's called IMS Productions. And they are the chefs. They bake the broadcast. They create the broadcast. They send the broadcast to NBC or Peacock or ABC or whoever's broadcasting the race. And then ABC or NBC or Fox puts it on there. Now, the difference that a network makes is twofold in terms of what they contribute to what the broadcast is and what the broadcast looks like. I referred to IMS Productions as a chef. So if you think about a chef is only as good as what someone at the table orders for them, right? And so it depends how much freedom you give this chef. I think IMS Productions is an amazing company, by the way, especially when they have creative freedom. I think you should go back and watch a lot of those, 2009, 2010, 2011 IndyCar broadcasts on the Versus Network. They're extremely rewatchable, very, very detailed. They're very enthusiast-oriented. They're excellent TV broadcasts. The most rewatchable IndyCar content, I would say, since the...
Yeah, I've seen IndyCar nowadays. That doesn't make me want to watch IndyCar how it was.
Paul Page, Uncle Bobby, Sam Posey broadcasts of the early 90s. And the reason for that, I think, is because there's a lot of people within IndyCar and within the IMS walls who actually understand the product, believe it or not. It makes a lot of sense, right? And when they're given free reign and a budget to do what they actually need to do, they do a damn good job. The problem, of course, comes when the network thinks they know better than the people that actually know what the hell they're talking about. And so I noticed this over the course of NBC's broadcasts. As NBC began to spend more money and get more involved, they began to take more control over the creative side of things, right? And so I noticed that NBC became much more NASCAR focused. The Indy 500, in many ways, is almost a promotional arm for the start of the NBC NASCAR season. You notice the pit reporters are virtually all NASCAR people. Not all, but a lot of them are. They bring in a lot of NASCAR personalities to be the analysts for the race. Not the actual color commentators, but the guys on the Peacock pit box, the guys roaming pit lane. It's all NASCAR. That's because NBC spends more money on NASCAR than they spend on IndyCar, and then they look at IndyCar and they say, we've got this big property, we can spin it up to become IndyCar. But in the early days of NBC Sports Network and the Versus days, they brought IndyCar experts in to talk about IndyCar. got Jan Beekes, you got Robin Miller, you got Lindy
I don't
Thaxton,
know
you
anything.
got these folks who knew what they were talking about, cared about the series, and wanted it presented in the right way. Kevin Lee has been someone who's weathered the storm for the longest time there. So Jack Arute would be another one I would shout out. So the question mark of whether this is going to be a good broadcast or not is solely down to Fox. How much, does Fox want to spend to update the graphics, get better data, bring it up to more of an F1 level?
Oh shit! Oh my god, will they actually... Oh... Maybe IndyCar can actually be interesting now. If they actually... Because there's something I really hate. You don't know who have just been in pit or who will be in pit. You just think, oh, he's leading the race. Can he win the race? No, he can't fucking, because he needs to go into the pit for some fucking reason. I hope they invest in information like that. Or else I would never like IndyCar.
Right, in terms of the watchability of the broadcast. The second question will be, how much corporate meddling is there? Are we going to have Kyle Petty? Are we going to have Darrell Waltrip? Are we going to have Michael Waltrip? You know, it's cool if they're involved in some way,
glitter?
But you don't want to put them on the pit box and have Michael Waltrip talking about, I can't believe this, the cars are going so fast. You know, you don't want that in the broadcast for an IndyCar race. It would be whiplash, it would be culture shock, it wouldn't make any sense.
There we have.
That's going to be the question mark of whether or not the broadcast is good or not. How much does Fox choose to meddle?
And then it's just fucking a copy. Yeah. Nice. Add. Red, black. Nice.
What should concern you is that Fox is spending a lot of money to do this, to put this broadcast on. So therefore, because they're doing that, they're going to think that they should be the ones in creative control and decide, you know, make edicts about how the coverage is and what is shown and what is not shown and how it's presented and how it's not presented. And potentially it might clash with people who actually know and understand the property. I hope it's not that way, but I guess this would be my way to implore to the folks at Fox, you know, try to get some experts in there, consult with some people who understand and love IndyCar, and figure out a way to broadcast the best broadcast for the fans. I think that's what I want to advocate. The second thing that is almost like a wash, I would say, between NBC and Fox is that the streaming is going to be different. Now, ideally, I think because IndyCar is such a niche property, they would go back to streaming the practices and qualifying sessions for free on the internet to as many people as possible and use that as a promotional arm to try to get people to tune into the races on TV.
Oh my god, fuck me.
But I would sincerely doubt that you will see that happen for a variety of reasons. I think that what you will see is IndyCar qualifying and practice and Indy Next races on FS2 primarily, mainly because people who don't necessarily understand where the world is headed from the perspective of how young people consume content will look at the number that you can very easily Google about how many households Fox Sports 2 is in, and that number reads 52.4 million. Now, if you do more research, you would notice that the highest rated broadcast ever on FS2 was UFC fights, which got 500,000 viewers, the best on that channel. And of course, if you look on the IndyCar YouTube channel, you will notice some practice and qualifying days from the Indy 500, 5 or 6 years ago that were streamed live on YouTube would have about that number, and they would actually be people who are interested in consuming the product and not just TV people. I can also say this about FS2, is that I have lived in households that have had DirecTV, Xfinity, Spectrum, all sorts of different options and opportunities. I don't think I've ever had a TV service that has gotten me Fox Sports 2. So I guess I haven't lived in one of the 52 million households that they claim FS2 is in. But I wouldn't say this is necessarily like a totally bad thing, right? There are some things that are concerns for sure. But I think the opportunity, if it is true that every race is going to be on network television, I think that's good. I think the fact that Fox has kind of checked out of NASCAR for a little while, or a little bit, past the Daytona 500, it almost could work in reverse for IndyCar, where the minute the Daytona 500's over, you know, you're going to see NASCAR predominantly on FS1 and IndyCar races on Big Fox. That isn't the worst thing in the world, I think.
Pink, was it?
And you've got potentially Fox
Pink-green
kind of invigorated because they've got a new sports property, and in particular the Indianapolis 500 that they can promote. To anybody surprised about this, I should have probably said this off the top, the fact that NBC didn't announce that they were extending at the Indy 500 was a bad sign.
Green,
a worse sign was the fact
blue.
that Lee Diffie is going to cover NASCAR races for NBC at the end of the season, particularly post-Olympics coverage. And, you know, just none of the positive momentum was heading NBC's way. And frankly, I thought the last straw for me, at least in terms of like, well, there's no way they're going back, was the idea that the opening round of the French Open would take precedence over the Indianapolis 500 if it got delayed to Monday. I thought that was one of the craziest things I've ever heard. The potential of the Indy 500 on USA Network is asinine. So it's disappointing that NBC seems this partnership is going away. But there were some things with NBC that I think were definitely worth criticizing. Peacock, I don't think, was a great streaming service. Try to rewatch a race on there, and you're just inundated with ads. It's not very good. Just gonna say it. You know, I think that their coverage kind of strayed away from what made the initial Versus and NBC Sports Network stuff so good, which was a very heavy emphasis on IndyCar and a focus on, you know, getting experts in there who know what they're talking about, and more of a focus to turn it into a teaser for NASCAR and then kind of forget about it the rest of the year. So hopefully, you know, from a positive perspective, hopefully Fox wants to commit to this thing full season and interest doesn't fall off after the Indianapolis 500. But there's a lot more questions we'll have answered, obviously, as this is actually formally announced. And, you know, obviously it's going to be one of the biggest talking points in IndyCar going forward.
White, light, blue.
And then, of course, the question is, and I'm sure you've already answered this one in the comments, is what will happen with that additional money? Does that go into the leader circle to make the charters more attractive? Does that go into promotion? Does that go into something else for IndyCar? Maybe developing a new chassis or new rules formula that's desperately needed at this point. There's a lot of things that could be done with $40 million a year from a TV company. So we'll have to see. This could be very positive for IndyCar.
It could also
I think
not
a lot
be.
of people are going to be negative, and I understand why.
Or a slide.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and obviously we'll be tracking this as this thing develops. We'll see you in the next video.
Okay, that happened. Okay, that's happening. Let's see what if he thinks that's good or bad. Let's see. Sounds like Formula 1. Orange line.
What you just saw was the broadcast intro to the 2002 Long Beach Grand Prix, won by Michael Andretti, but historically...
Wait, the fuck? Did I? Oh my god. Okay, so I started moving them around and then... Okay, back to this one.
Notable because it's the last Indy-style race that was broadcast on the Fox TV network until next year, when all of the IndyCar races will be broadcast on network Fox Sports. This is a dramatically important day in the history of IndyCar racing. One of the best TV deals that has ever been signed, we could probably say, in motorsports history. And there's a lot of things that have led to this, a lot of different factors. No one person or one entity can get credit for it, but we can give a lot of credit to everyone involved, right? Penske Entertainment, Fox Sports, got it done, man. They got it done, and I guess credit to NBC for being willing to bid against Fox, because if that had not happened, I doubt that we would have seen this good of a deal put together for IndyCar. But let's just say this, and let me say it unequivocally, okay? This is positive for IndyCar.
Is
Period,
it?
Full stop. If you like IndyCar racing,
I'm not.
You love this thing.
Nope.
This is positive for it.
No.
Now, are there negative aspects to this? Yes. In the grand scheme of things, looking long-term, looking even short-term, this is an objectively better deal for IndyCar racing. Better for the sport, better for the teams, the sponsors, the drivers, everybody involved. Everybody, okay? Again, we can talk, and this video isn't really the time for it. I briefly mentioned it yesterday, but to complain about Wendy's or Waltrip's right now would not be appropriate, right?
Oh, nice.
We need to talk about this deal and what is important about it. And what is important about it is that this provides a ton of resources to IndyCar to actually grow and move forward. This is an incredible opportunity to grow and move forward.
Nice.
Okay?
I don't care.
Let's talk about some of the details and why this has provided such an opportunity for IndyCar racing. Number one, all races, as I mentioned, will be broadcast on Fox, including the 2 Indy 500 qualifying days. All on network television. The first time in history that has happened. Live on network television. First time in history that has happened. Bob Pockris, who I suppose we will be talking a lot more about in the context of IndyCar for the foreseeable future. So, welcome back, Bob. He reported on Twitter that each race that is on Network Fox, with the exception of the Indianapolis 500, will have a 2.5-hour broadcast window. Now, the Indy 500 and I presume the qualifying days have a 5-hour window on Network Fox.
Green.
The Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, and the Indianapolis 500 will all appear on the same network live for the first time in history. All on Fox. 3 of the biggest sports properties in this country on the same broadcasting platform. That means that cross-promotion is very much a thing that is on the table and a possibility at the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500. That's huge. I don't know what else to say about that. All practice and qualifying will air on either FS1 or FS2. While we don't have specifics on that, I would certainly hope that qualifications for the non-Indy 500 races would get priority coverage on FS1. And I would hope among hope that at least a couple of hours of each day of Indy 500 practice is broadcast on FS1. If you remember, Fox Sports 1 is essentially the old Speed channel, okay? So race fans know how to find FS1. They haven't switched away from it, especially if they're a drag racing or a NASCAR fan, since it went away from being Speed channel, right? Sports car fans know how to find it. IndyCar fans, even if you go back way back in the day, they know where to find Wind Tunnel and the Speed Report, and even Champ Car races, dating back to as late as 2006 on the Speed channel. Essentially, that's the equivalent of Indy 500 practice and qualifying being broadcast on Speed Channel. which, fantastic. Now, I would imagine a lot of it ends up on FS2, but again, until we see a true full broadcast schedule, we won't know that for sure. But that's good. Positive. Very, very positive. The same goes for the Indy Next by Firestone races. The majority of those will be on FS1. I can't even, you want to talk about something that was good for IndyCar. This is the best day Indy Next has ever had. Ever.
Sign pink.
There might actually be real sponsorships that start appearing in Indy Next because of this. Now, this isn't just a family money thing at this point. This could really lead to actual companies wanting and being willing to step up and sponsor Indy Next cars because they're actually on television. They're not on Peacock, right? This is huge for Indy Next. Huge for that series.
Okay, and I don't care.
The IndyCar schedule was released today in conjunction with this. This is the earliest that I can remember an IndyCar schedule being publicly available. Perhaps the earliest an IndyCar schedule has been available since the first year of the IRL in 1996, when they had that schedule essentially announced by the time of the 1995 Indianapolis 500. I don't know if we could go quite back that far, but that's the only example I can come up with in my head for as early an open wheel schedule has come out. That's positive, although later on in this video we will talk about the schedule, and there are some things to be concerned about. There's no doubt about
light gray brown.
But again, we're staying positive, at least for now, about the TV deal because it's a hell of a deal. Now, no on-air talent has been announced. That will all be at a later date. It was Nathan Brown of the Indy Star that mentioned that today is the day that the talent search for IndyCar on Fox begins in earnest, according to the executives at Fox. So, like I said before, man, we can talk about it minutia, right? We are obviously, I have the same concerns that I had yesterday, right? You hope that it's not too NASCAR heavy. You hope that it has an IndyCar expert focus. You hope that it doesn't have the same feeling of a NASCAR broadcast. NASCAR is its own thing, and IndyCar is its own thing, and I hope Fox recognizes and understands that the properties need to be separate. Now, that being said, I think it would be, I will say this, right? I would love to see Mike Joy host the Indianapolis 500 broadcast. Not necessarily be the play-by-play guy, but I think if Mike Joy is not involved in some way in the broadcast, that's a missed opportunity. I think he certainly would appreciate that recognition and consideration, and I think Mike would do a great job. So here's my public support of Mike Joy.
Yellow,
being a part
black.
of the broadcast in some way, but I think from a meta perspective, a overall perspective, this is extremely positive. Now, I guess we'll talk really quick about streaming. That the concerns, I understand where the concerns are with streaming. There's a new package that will be coming out next year, which includes HBO Max, ESPN, and Fox, among other streamers. It will be a total of $40 to $50 a month. But I will say this, okay? Yeah, if you're a cable cutter or a cord cutter, this is more expensive than Peacock. But I would say if you're a racing fan, HBO Max gets you the World Endurance Championship in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, ESPN gets you Formula One, and Fox gets you NASCAR and IndyCar, or at least NASCAR for the first half of the season and IndyCar. It is cheaper than cable, but it's not super ideal. Now, every race, if you can afford an antenna to get the local broadcast channels in your area, and that's a one-time cost of $30, you can get IndyCar on Fox every single race for free, essentially.
White, gray.
So, again, that's not a problem. Streaming, to go back to that point, this is a thing, right? Because there's a lot of Peacock defenders out there, and I understand why you're a defender, because you enjoy that service. It's good as a service. It's an inexpensive service. If you know what Peacock is, where to find it, and how many buttons you need to click to get to IndyCar, right? Okay, that's good for you. It's not good for the meta sport. I sometimes say this to fans of sprint car racing, because fans of sprint car racing will say, you know, I'm surprised it doesn't grow more, or I'm surprised more people don't know about this. I wish more people know about this. And I say to them, you typically don't have. I mean, I think I saw a CBS Sports Spectacular on the World of Outlaws. Right, it was like
light
a highlights
blue,
package of a
yellow.
race. That's great. That's all well and good. But the majority of the time, you have to make a tremendous monetary investment just to explore whether or not you want to be a fan of that particular form of racing. And IndyCar had the same problem with Peacock. If you wanted to watch a practice or a qualifying session or a race replay, you had to pony up the cash to Peacock. And then you had to know what Peacock is, where to find Peacock, and then where to find IndyCar on the Peacock app. There were a lot of steps to find IndyCar racing. Now with Fox Sports, again, if you are already a Peacock person, I'm not talking about you necessarily. I'm talking about the other millions of people out there that tuned into the Indy 500 that didn't tune into a single thing of Peacock and never have and never will in their entire life. They might know where FS1 is. They might happen across a practice or qualifying session.
Fuck me, they are light blue.
So the exponential growth in the amount of people, the sheer number of people that can tune into IndyCar content, you can't even put into words how much bigger this is, okay? Streaming only is an advantage if the streamer is available. Like if it's Netflix, there's a chance, right? There's a chance you can make that work. But unless you're at the level of Netflix, if you're on a streamer, it's almost a hindrance to growth 99% of the time. So the fact that all of the sessions are on television is great for growth. Because you want to talk about teams. It's great for the teams. Finally, the teams have something they objectively cannot complain about, because now you have something to sell to sponsors that you didn't have last year. And you don't have if you're involved in any other racing series. We have 19 network broadcasts, says the team to the sponsor. And the existing sponsors, maybe some that were 1 foot out the door, might want to reconsider coming on back. Come on home. Because you're not going to get a better TV deal in racing if you're a sponsor. So if you're staying...
Well, you can get into Formula 1. That I would say is so much better investment. Maybe not, but better than IndyCar. Yellow Magnanta.
You're happy. If you're leaving, maybe you should think about staying. And I think that would also go for manufacturers. This doesn't hurt if you're a manufacturer. This only helps that situation. Whether you're staying, thinking about leaving, or maybe thinking about coming in. Positive across the board for the meta of the sport. This deal. Straight up, no bullshit, positive. There are a few things to be concerned about, particularly some of the things that were announced today in regards to the schedule. So let's take a look at the schedule and we'll talk about it. Okay, so in one of the bizarre moments of 2024, IndyCar resurrected Speed Channel, at least on Twitter, at least for now. I thought this was just the funniest thing, and yes, Chase Holden is bringing back Speed as well. But yeah, here's the schedule. Again, incredible that this is out when it is, but there are a lot of things to talk about. And some of them are not necessarily positive, and some of them are interesting ideas that perhaps will lead to other things. I guess we'll say it that way. Start on the streets of St. Petersburg on March 2nd, which should be fairly close to the Daytona 500. That's kind of close to the 2020... Is that 2023 or 2022 date that was really, really close to the Daytona 500? That's potentially a great lead-in from a Fox broadcasting perspective. I don't hate that. I really don't hate that. I think that's great. Thermal Club. It's extremely important. This was long rumored, that Thermal Club has now become a points race for IndyCar. A points race at the Thermal Club. And it takes place, what is that, 3 weeks after St. Pete? That's not good. I'll just say it. That is not good. Not that the Thermal Club got a points race, but the fact that there is 3 weeks in between St. Pete and the Thermal Club. Come on, man. Come on. Another 3 weeks to Long Beach.
Oh, we're done. We're done with this.
And then another 3 weeks to Barber. Yeah, the beginning of the season is very rough. There's no doubt about it. Very, very rough from a scheduling standpoint, right? Again, all of these races are on Fox. That's great. The issue is that I would think going forward, especially now, that you potentially have lead-ins from the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500. The front half of the schedule prior to the Indianapolis 500 needs more races. And I would say the middle of the season, and I get it, a lot of these places are Midwestern and you can't run them in the wintertime. I get it. I understand that.
12,
find places that you can run.
18,
Phoenix, Homestead, places like that. Texas.
9, 10, 16, 18, minus 19.
Fill out that schedule. Once the Daytona 500 happens, and if you continue to get every race on Fox, my God, fill out the front of the season. Have it all lead into the Indy 500. Speaking to leading into the Indy 500. So, on principle, I'm very torn on this Barber date. I personally do not believe that you should be racing in Alabama in the month of May for IndyCar. Barber is one of those races that I would like to see moved up a couple of weeks. That being said, this is the right idea. It's the wrong race, the wrong track. Barber being on May 4th means that Indy cars will be on track, although not at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, every week of May. That's a good idea. That's how things should be, I think. That means you compete against the Miami Grand Prix directly. I've been advocating for that for years. I don't think you should let Miami have a weekend in May where they go uncontested. Formula One should not be impeding on.
Why not? Formula One is so much better.
The month of May in the U.S. If you're IndyCar, if you're looking at that from a strategic standpoint as IndyCar, yeah, you should compete against them. And you now have an opportunity to do that. Is Barber the right thing? No. What I would do is I would move the Indy GP up there and do 2 weekends of time trials for the Indy 500, but that's a discussion and a video for another day. I will explain how that would work.
Brown light.
Had a Professor Know-It-All video
brown orange.
For a little while, and we'll talk about that.
Brown green.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I think May.
Orange blue.
Right idea, not quite the right
white
execution
gray.
yet, but
magenta red.
I think it's on the right path.
Sign line.
The issue with the beginning
light
of the schedule
yellow.
is definitely the gaps.
Orange
right?
red.
Definitely the gaps. And I
green
do think,
red.
let's be honest,
red
Club
sign.
being a points race that's not
Yellow
going to be
magenta.
particularly popular with the fans.
Sign
I'm
red.
very curious to see what happens
Gray
with
yellow.
the Thermal Club from the
Light
perspective
gray,
of
light blue.
working to win back
light gray,
a lot
brown.
of the fans who were turned off by that
White,
event
light
last
blue.
year. I think there's a lot of work
Green,
to be done,
pink.
but I don't think it's impossible. Don't think it's impossible, but there is a lot of work to be done with the Thermal Club between now and then. Indy Road Course on the 10th, not a surprise. Indy 500. Trust me, you guys know we'll have a lot of coverage of the Indy 500 as time goes on. Streets of Detroit continuing to be the race after the Indy 500. That shouldn't be a shock. That was on the IMSA schedule. The real bird down and unfortunate reality is that Gateway, while I think it's good that it moves to June, I think there's a potentially cool crossover with the Indy 500 that can happen there. The fact that almost certainly is clashing with the 24 hours at Le Mans is very disappointing as a racing fan and someone who, had plans, and I guess I should announce now, probably unfortunately not going to be able to make Gateway. I was very much planning on being at the 24 hours of Le Mans by hook or by crook next year, so sorry Gateway on that one. I'll have to watch it in a hotel room in France, but yeah, that's disappointing for drivers and teams that wanted to cross over for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish there had been a consideration there, but that might have been the only way that Gateway stayed on the schedule.
Okay, so the only thing I was interesting to hear was the May stuff, because fucking the car Formula 1 is better.
And was able to get on Fox. So again, can't criticize too hard. It's just very unfortunate that that's how it worked out. Elkhart Lake Road America on the 22nd of June. A good little kind of nice rhythm of races here. Essentially don't have a real big break. I guess there's a week in between Road America and Mid-Ohio. But then Mid-Ohio, July 6th on Fox. Then the doubleheader in Iowa on the 12th and the 13th. Then the next week heading to Toronto on Fox. Great for Toronto after being kind of mired on Peacock for as long as it was. There are some questions surrounding the future of that race that we'll have more clear indications of later on. But at least for next year, Streets of Toronto on Fox. And then on to WeatherTech Raceway in Laguna Seca at the end of July. Then to Portland. So I'm pleased to see that the schedule worked out, that it's West Coast.
Is that one more fish for the collection?
Although there's a week in between those, so I guess
maybe not. Who knows?
Go back to Indy and then head back out west. Then the Milwaukee Mile goes to one race, Thermal Club points race, essentially replacing one of the Milwaukee doubleheader races. I don't hate that. I don't think doubleheaders are necessarily the best for the teams or the fans or the sponsors. Believe it or not, like, yeah, it's cool to have two races, but in my opinion, it's better to have one race and promote one race than to promote two races. That's just my opinion. And then the season ends once again at Nashville.
I mean, Formula 1 do 3 races in a row. Does that mean Formula 1 can do it because it's so popular? Or is there any stats on... I mean, that could be interesting. I don't know how IndyCar, the interest of IndyCar is. But I mean, like, if Formula 1 doesn't see a problem to have, if they see it as an opportunity to have 3 races in a row, I feel like shouldn't IndyCar maybe succeed to have 2 races in a row also?
Super Speedway on Labor Day weekend, the whole schedule moves up a week due to the fact that Fox has obviously the NFL contract, and it's important to get the season within the 6 months that the NFL isn't actively on television. The thing that I would say is, in terms of Nashville Super Speedway, in terms of the rest of the season, is that you have now an even more compressed schedule essentially than you did last year, or this year, I guess we should say. So,
that fish was unlucky.
In the other half of the year, the other 6 months in which there is nothing IndyCar on track.
Try them.
That's a concern. That is a concern. That, I suppose, will be answered later on in time. But
nope.
Yeah, the schedule's a mixed bag for sure. But the overwhelmingly positive thing is that every race on that schedule is on Fox. So obviously we have minutia and details to talk about as time goes on.
I mean, that I would say that you can say is something good. Oh, one more fish for the collection. Betty Brown White. Having so much IndyCar races in one place will make you more likely be... I mean, it's a good thing. You pay just for one thing and you get everything that you want. More or less, if you really like IndyCar. It's like if you really like Star Wars, paying for Disney will be a good idea if fucking Star Wars was good. If Star Wars is bad, then if worthless either way where Star Wars is.
But I would say overall, very positive day for the sport. But very interested to hear your comments down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and obviously we'll be talking much more about this in the future. So subscribe if you got to this point.
No,
we'll see you in the next video.
I will not. Go away, ad. We don't want to watch that. Or I can. Because I can. Oh, a fucking scam! Of course we will watch it.
Snabbare Zapp. Snabb, smidig och med alla dina favoritspel.
Snabbare. Hela Sverige spelar.
Okay, that's done. Go away now. But I don't know. I don't care about IndyCar. And how will this be a good or bad thing for people that like IndyCar? What I can say is having everything in one place is better than having different places. And I mean, if Fox Sports have other stuff, then you get more stuff to watch if you want. Oh, one more fish for the collection. Don't be in the way. Okay, this is the last lap and then we end it. Then we end it. Let's see. Yes. We will end it. So how many fish there? 1,562. So 838. Oh, 100% cyan. Nice. Yeah, 138 more fishes is needed to collect it. Then we are 1,000 left to be collected. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it's a Formula 1 week and IndyCar week this week. Oh, I need more food. And I got no salmon today. No salmon. No salmon tonight. One more fish for the collection. Nope. One more fish for the collection. One more zombie for the collection. Nice. Do we get anything more? Okay, one more zombie. One more fish for the collection. Black, brown. Oh, look, almost like trident. Yeah, I believe they fixed a bug again with the trident zombie. I feel like I saw so much more tridents before. Nice. The fuck? Oh. No, it broke. Oh shit. That one I can take out. That I take out. Yeah, I need more food in my food box. Yeah, let's end it with writing down the numbers. Was it 62? 1562. 1562. Nice. That have been written down, and then we can say, well, we slowly get where we should be. And tomorrow it will probably be more Formula 1 stuff. Hopefully it will be. I mean, Autosport should have something about Spain. Then we have P1 that will probably do stuff for Spain also. The race will also do stuff. I mean, maybe IndyCar from David Land. But until